Smart people don't fail because they aren't smart enough. I think they fail because they are smart. Before they get into anything, they think it over, they reflect, they research, they deep dive. They go through this process of checks and balances across almost every decision in their life. But life doesn't work like that, and it is holding you back. You can either protect who you are or discover who you might become. You can't do both. When I was younger, my family used to move around a lot. Every couple of years, we would move to a new state or a new city. And as a result of that, I began to get this feeling that I had to be really protective of what I had, that I had a lot to lose. But looking back on it now, I realized that that wasn't the case. Because what that made me do was become overly protective, overly thoughtful. I wanted to avoid mistakes, avoid risks. I wanted to be careful. So I would begin to overthink everything, second guess, really want to dot I's and cross T's before I moved forward. And at the time, I thought this was positive. I thought this was a strength. I'm careful, I'm thoughtful. But you've got to realize that transformation and change itself is risky. And by being protective and thoughtful and careful, you can rob yourself of the opportunity to experience great change, experience great opportunities. Because everything that is meaningful in life comes through exposure and through risk. Starting a new job, moving a city, starting a relationship, all of these things require risk. And none of them come with guarantees. But smart people hate living like this. Deep down, they can't stand it because smart people are used to being rewarded for having the right answer. At school, at work, in life, over and over again, they've always seemed to have the correct answer. And that's considered a positive. And so they build these systems, these rule systems to keep them safe. If I just do a little bit more research, if I just wait till I have more money, if I get one more qualification, if I go over it again, time and time again. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't eliminate risk from your life. No matter how much research you do, no matter how much thought you give something, you can't get rid of the risk. You can only choose which risk you want. And that's the problem because most people only calculate one side of the equation. They spend hours thinking like, what if this doesn't work? What if people judge me? What if I embarrass myself? But no one asks the opposite. What if I never do it? What if waiting? What if holding back? What if doing this research guarantees failure? What if 10 years from now, I am exactly where I am today? But that's the strange thing because people think that doing nothing is safe. If I wait, if I research, if I stop, if I pause, then I'm protecting myself. But doing nothing actually has consequences too. And those consequences may outweigh that protection. I think one of the biggest traps that smart people fall into is mistaking preparation for progress. And I see this happen all the time with coaching clients I work with. And I've done it myself. I've spent years researching, thinking, planning, trying to make the perfect decision. And I've seen others do the same. But here's what I've realized in doing all of that. Preparation feels like progress. It really does. But preparation and progress are not the same thing. And you can't confuse the two. You can spend 10 years, 20 years, 30 years preparing for a life that you never actually live. You never actually get around to living it. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing today. They're walking towards the starting line. They're listening, they're learning, they're thinking, they're planning. And they think that that's progress. But it's not. You haven't reached the starting line yet. You haven't started to run the race. And then they wonder why nothing's changed. Well, nothing's changed because you keep moving that starting line forward. You actually haven't started anything. You're walking towards the starting line. You're not running towards the finish. See, most people think that smart people succeed because they're smart. But I actually think that smart people often struggle because intelligence gives them endless ways to avoid uncertainty, and that's a problem. Life is full of uncertainty. Life is full of risk. And you have to embrace that if you want to transform, if you want to change, if you want to design the life that you want to live. Because it's important to remember that intelligence can actually become a defense mechanism, and then you can become too reliant on it. You can always go out there and find another article, another podcast, another opinion, another way, another spreadsheet, another reason to wait, but life's not a maths problem. No matter what solution or potential solution or system or technique you find, it's only more preparation. It's not actually starting. Because some things can only be understood, can only be fully experienced and comprehended by actually doing them. You may do all of the planning for running a business, understand intrinsically everything about it, but it's not the same as actually running a business, having customers there. I know this from personal experience. Before we opened the art gallery, we spent a lot of time going over it and second guessing it. But at some point we had to take the risk. We had to make the jump and start the gallery. Open the doors, hang things on the wall, talk to customers. If we hadn't, and it was a risk, it was a big risk, it was scary. But if we hadn't taken that risk, we'd probably still be planning it, saying we'd do it, wishing we'd do it. And as time goes on and other life pressures get in the way, would we have actually done it? Probably not. I know this is not an unheard of problem. I know people encounter this all the time. I've seen it. You don't learn courage before taking the leap. You develop courage after you leap. Really got to reframe how you're thinking about this. Think about the biggest decisions that you've ever made in your life. Getting married, having kids, changing careers, moving, starting a business. Did you have pure certainty, 100% certainty in each of those decisions? Or did you simply just have enough for you to take that risk and make that next step? Because remember, certainty isn't the reward for thinking. It's often the reward for action. You get that feeling after you've started, yeah, this was the right decision. It might not be perfect now, but it was the right decision to start. I'm learning, I'm developing, I'm building. That certainty in the decision comes after the decision. It will never become first. I wish we all had genies in a bottle that we could ask, what's the future going to hold? We could make our wish come true and be guaranteed of success, but that's not how it works. You have to dive in, you have to start. And whether that's opening a business or redesigning your life or even something small, asking someone out, you have to make that jump. You can't just sit waiting. You can't wait before the start line. You have to start. Because those people who build extraordinary lives, those lives that you look up to, that you want to emulate, they didn't wait. They started before they had the answers. But the important thing is that they started. And that's what you need to do. Start living. Start taking those chances. Not recklessly, not blindly, but just starting. Because every meaningful thing that you will have in your life will come as a result of taking that leap, I promise you. And reframe it like that. When you look back at the end, all of those things that you will value, that you will treasure, those memories, those moments will have come as a result of a leap before you were 100% ready. A chance, a risk. And that's what makes life worth living. I want you to have those experiences. I want you to have those memories, those moments where you're completely satisfied with what you've done. It may not have worked out. It may not have been perfect. You may have failed, but you've done it. And that's far more rewarding, because the question you need to ask yourself is not, how do I guarantee success? It's which risk I'm comfortable with taking. Because there's only one guarantee. If you wait, if you don't start, then you won't achieve it. And I know people worry about starting because they don't have that 100% guarantee that it will work. But I can guarantee you, if you don't start, I'll give you a 100% guarantee that it will never work. So maybe even a 1% chance that it will work is better than a 100% chance that it won't. Think of it that way. And maybe that will help you to take that jump. Because as I said at the start of the video, you can either protect who you are now, or you can discover who you might become and what that life might be like. And I know which option I'd rather choose. I hope this video has been helpful in challenging you to take that next step, to make that leap, to start that race, because I promise you, the rewards for doing so will be so worth it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.